What is up, everybody? Welcome to Sunday Unfiltered Wrestling here with PGH TV. Today, you guys know the deal. Three subjects. We talk about them for not too long, but I do want to do this here on Sundays where I just talk about three things from the week of pro wrestling that I thought were interesting. Um, these are only exclusive to Spotify. I will be uploading the audio version on my YouTube channel, so you could also check it out over there. Um, but there are three subjects I want to get into today. And before we get into that, make sure you guys go check out your G Fuel. G Fuel Energy is always the official partner of PGH Chris TV. Let's talk about WrestleMania Night One. Happened yesterday. Go check out the Sports Jedi Network tonight. Yesterday, go check out the review with Hoss and Kev. It was very, very good stuff. They talked about their opinions on WrestleMania Night One. I was watching with my family. I was watching with my girlfriend and some of my family members. We had like a little, gathering type of thing downstairs in the theater. So I watched it there night one, for last night, and I'm gonna say this. This might be an unpopular opinion, but these opinions are mine. I thought the show was mid. Doesn't mean it was terrible. Doesn't mean it was great. I thought the show was mid. They started off, I thought, for an ESPN audience, they're doing the first hour on ESPN for free. I thought they started off okay. I'm not a huge fan of iShow Speed at all. I don't care for any of his matches. What I mean by that is I don't really care about seeing the celebrities in pro wrestling anymore. But you're opening up this match. You have Logan Paul and iShow Speed, who are well-known, people. And I think the ESPN audience would know who those people are if you're watching it on there and you want to do buy the subscription for WrestleMania. I thought it was a fine match to start it off. I Show Speed got his WrestleMania moment by doing the frog splash on Logan Paul through the announce table. Not really. That's what this match was about. It was about creating a viral moment. Um, we got Logan Paul and Austin Theory kind of turning, especially Logan Paul turning on iShow Speed. I hope we don't see an iShow Speed and Logan Paul match. Um, this did what it was supposed to do, and that was to get the ESPN2 audience to go buy the WrestleMania uh on the ESPN app. So for an ESPN audience to start off your show like that, I can't blame them. I think I would have started the show off with that too. So it was what it was. They got the viral moment out of it, and I think that was the goal of this match anyway. Fatu versus McIntyre. Jacob Fatu beats Drew McIntyre in the unsanctioned match in the second match of the night, second match on ESPN 2. I thought it was a good match. I thought Jacob needed to win the match. I think he will be a championship contender challenging Cody Rhodes in the future. Maybe they let there was a report, and I'll get into that later, with Randy Orton injured after last night's WrestleMania. So I did say this for a couple weeks over on the Sports Jedi Network where Jacob Fatu winning this match, it's going to it's going to be like an unofficial number one contenders match, and I thought they did fine. Um, I thought Jacob winning was the right move. Now we get into the actual show. They had John Cena come out and do the the introduction. It was fine. He comes out there in a suit. I know a lot of people were questioning, is he going to wear the suit and tie, or is he going to wear the jorts or whatever? Um, so no, he came out in a suit and tie um to get the crowd amped up before all that took place. The first match on the ESPN card was the women's tag team match. It was Nia Jax, Last Legend versus Charlotte, Alexa Bliss versus Bailey and Lyra versus the Bella twins. Now, I know Nikki Bella worked some of us about how she wasn't going to, or she was going to participate in the match. She comes out, announces she won't be in the match. Here comes out Paige. She making her return to WWE, and She wins the tag team champions alongside Brie Bella. It was a solid match. It was full of action for sure. I do want to talk about Paige. Let's talk about Paige. Happy for Paige. She's somebody that she's still young. She's younger than a lot of the girls that have done some great things in WWE, like a Charlotte and Becky. She was around during the time where I thought women's wrestling was very boring. During that Divas era, we see the picture backstage with the Bella Twins, Paige and AJ Lee throwing up the fours. I guess they're the original four horsewomen. I you know, I'm happy for Paige. She got a WrestleMania moment. She was around when women's wrestling wasn't really popular, and I think she should have been, in WWE for the big moments like the women's evolution and all that stuff. I got to be honest, guys. I don't give a shit. I don't. I didn't care about Saraya anywhere else, and I don't care about her coming back to the WWE. I think it's going to take time away from a possible up and coming, talent, especially, they want to move up JC Jane and a couple other of these NXT women up into the main roster. I did have the Bella Twins winning this match because I think this is going to go a little bit beyond pro wrestling, where obviously the Bellas are a major player. They're a major name. They're everywhere. So them winning the tag team champions wasn't bad. I just don't know how interested in Paige's return as a whole. I don't think I'm going to be that interested in her coming back. I don't really care to see her have matches with a Charlotte or a Rhea Ripley or anything like that. I'm good. But I'm happy for Saraya. You know, because I respect her work and her as a person. She's been through a lot, so I enjoyed it. But I don't care in the long run to see um Saraya compete in WWE. The next match, the Women's Intercontinental Championship, Bailey versus Becky, or excuse me, Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee. AJ Lee coming in as the Women's Intercontinental Championship. The match was just under 10 minutes. Becky Lynch wins in a cheap heel way. I know AJ Lee after the show said something about, it's not a goodbye, it's a see you later. I'm gonna be honest. I I didn't think it. I don't think AJ Lee really wanted to come back to pro wrestling. I think it was one of those things where her and Punk and Seth were having the storyline. Becky was a part of it. It made sense for AJ to come back and come to the aid of her husband. They got the storyline out of it between Becky and AJ. This was the conclusion tonight, which it needed to be because I don't think their elimination chamber match was great, but I do think it was better than this match we got at WrestleMania. Um, Becky is again the Intercontinental Champion. I would have liked to see AJ retain only because I don't know what else Becky Lynch could really do with this championship. I mean, she's done what she's supposed to do as a veteran, and that is to elevate that championship and put it on the waist of people like a Maxine Dupree or a Lyra Valkyria or Roxanne Perez, which brings me to the reason why I kind of wanted AJ Lee to win this match. I would like to see her and Roxanne Perez. I think that'd be a pretty good match. Obviously the story's there. They don't need the Intercontinental Championship to do that. I hope that's AJ Lee's next program. She's gonna be gone for a while. Don't expect her to be on TV for a little bit. And I think that's just for the best. But she went out there. She had a WrestleMania match, a singles match, which she hasn't. The last time she competed at WrestleMania was WrestleMania 31, teaming with Paige against the Bellas. So no, nothing against AJ. Happy for her to get her WrestleMania match out there. Becky wins, and we'll move on and see what happens with the women's Intercontinental Championship title picture. And then we had Seth Rollins versus Gunther, which I think is going to be the best in-ring match of the entire WrestleMania. That match was great. It was fast paced early on, and then it slowed down. Gunther and Seth both got the big move sets in. There was some crowd reactions on a I think the crowd was more invested in this match. Braun Breaker coming out and causing Seth Rollins the match. You know, we knew he was kind of cleared or healthy or quote unquote good to go shortly before WrestleMania. I think it was one of those things where we could have the match between Seth and Gunther and then incorporate Brock or Braun Breaker, and that's how they could get Braun versus Seth, maybe at Backlash. I don't think they're going to extend it to SummerSlam. I think the original plan was to have Brock or Braun and Seth. Obviously, that didn't happen. So I don't think you could extend this to SummerSlam for your next big stadium show. I do think they're going to have to resolve this at Backlash, maybe at Crown Jewel in Saudi. Um, they're going to Saudi. So we'll see. I don't think they have no cancellations of canceling those shows, so that would be a big match for them. They inducted the Hall of Fame. You saw Dennis Rodman, Axe Smash, Legacy Edition, Sid, AJ Styles, Stephanie, Bad News Brown, inductee for the Legacy. Um, so we'll see that. We'll see that. Another Hulk Hogan commercials, a lot of commercials. I'll get my final thoughts on the show at the end. Liv Morgan versus Vaquer. It was fine. I thought Liv Morgan's entrance was kind of corny, but it fits her character honestly pretty well. I saw some clown online comparing her to fucking Mariah Carey and Jennifer Lopez. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Liv Morgan is not no fucking Mariah Carey. Stop that shit. But a cheap win for Liv Morgan. We finally got the women's champion on the right person. I think she's going to elevate that title, make the feuds more interesting. Stephanie just didn't do it. She just didn't do it. Bianca Belair came out, made an entrance, and surprised a lot of people after John Cena came out and announced the attendance. Bianca announced her pregnancy. She is pregnant. I saw some assholes on the internet giving that a D plus grading for the segment. Look, I mean, it wasn't. Look, it's WrestleMania. The matches weren't hitting for the most part, maybe for you in the beginning of the show. And this was just like, what the fuck to some people. Look, I don't care. Um, what I mean by that is I don't care that she went on WrestleMania and did that. It wasn't like they did a whole segment for it. We got a surprise, happy for her and Montez, happy for her. I know this is probably something she's wanted for a while. And when this type of things happen, the best thing to say is congrats and move on. I don't think it's something we need to really complain about or digest or discuss. Congrats to Montez and Bianca. That's a moment she could have kept very privately. Instead, she chose to share that moment at WrestleMania. I don't think you could really hate on her for that. So that was that. And then the last match, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton. I will say this. I like how they got the Pat McAfee shit and all that shit over in the beginning of the match. I thought the second half of the match was good. The first half was too slow. They wanted to get the shenanigans out of the way. Um, Cody felt a little heelish throughout the match, just by his actions. Overworked, he really did Randy Orton's back. He worked on that. Orton sold the injury pretty well. Um, Randy Orton's RKO on Charles Robinson and the McAfee for being the return, referee was kind of weird. But it ended up costing Randy Orton the match. Cody hit a crossroads to win. Um, they didn't have that super mega finish like they did at WrestleMania 40. I know they had Travis Scott. I thought this was better than or last year versus Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Um, you know, I Randy hit Cody with the punt after the match was over, and WrestleMania Night One ended. Look, it was an interesting Saturday. It wasn't great. There was a lot of fucking commercial placements. I understand the people in the arena. I had a great, of course. Yes, you spent how many fucking thousands of dollars probably to be in the arena or just to be in Vegas for WrestleMania weekend. You better be having a good time. You better be having a good time. But when there's people like us watching at home and when we pay for these subscriptions, it is excuse me. I had to sneeze. I apologize. It is very frustrating for the people at home when they have to go through loops and holes to watch WWE programming. You have the USA on SmackDown. You have to have cable. You have to have Netflix to watch Monday Night Raw. You have to have this new fucking 39 or $30 a month ESPN subscription to watch the PLEs. It might be fun for you guys in the building, but I'm going to tell you guys right now, us watching at home, it is fucking ridiculous. I do not want to see Hulk Hogan's documentary every single time. I watched it on Netflix. I'm not paying ESPN a fucking penny. Why? I'll tell you why I don't have that bogus ESPN app. I get all the studio shows, First Take, Get Up. I get all that. The games, the playoffs, I get that with my YouTube TV package. The only thing I don't get with my ESPN package from YouTube TV is the fucking WWE. And that is the main reason why I don't pay for the subscription. I use the VPN. Yes, that's right, Netflix. You're trying to block it. You know, you didn't do a good job. What are we doing? I understand business and ads are part of the world we live in, but this is too fucking heavy on the wrestling fans watching at home. We've seen PLEs and pay-per-views for fucking decades without all the amount of ad placements, and now they seem too ad heavy. Shout out to Gunther and Seth. That match was fucking great. The main event was fine. Other than that, I don't really see where the excitement is for WrestleMania Night 1. That's why I called the show mid. There were some things that I liked. Most of it was okay. It was mid. I'm not sitting here comparing it to other shows and other companies like a lot of people are. I think it goes both ways. I see a lot of the AEW fans complaining about, or saying that, All In's the new Super Bowl, this and that. But then I see WWE fans, glazing Paige after they talk shit about her over in AEW. Wrestling fans are starting to turn me off from talk podcasting. It's starting to turn me off. I'm not gonna lie. I'm at the point where you can't say anything without people hating or thinking you're a hater, or you can't say anything without people in your fucking, you know, just the comparison and then all this and that. It's turning me off. It's turning me off. But WrestleMania Night 1 was mid, and that's my opinion. If you don't like it, you can kiss my ass. Um, let's talk about Darby Allin winning the AEW World Championship. Move on here on our next topic. I think it's a bad move from AEW. I'm like my guy Hoss over on the Sports Chat Network says, I'm gonna give it 2 weeks. Um, I hope this doesn't kill the momentum of AEW. We are gonna hear from him. We're not just gonna have Darby go out there and have a match against Tommaso Ciampa. But I wonder why they're making this decision. I hope it's not to take buzz away from WWE. I hope it's not any of that, bullshit. Um, we're gonna have to wait and see where this goes. I don't really think, you know, AEW is going to thrive dramatically or the ratings are gonna get up or any of that necessarily with Darby Allin as their guy. But we'll see. We'll see. Our last topic here, there was a situation. I'm gonna tackle this as respectfully as I can because there is a reason I want to talk about it. There's a situation at Wrestlecon where Elena Black was touched inappropriately. She made a video, exposed the guy, cursed at him. Her boyfriend Casey Navarro made a video. I see some tweets and comments that, oh my God, I just saw Elena Black scream and cry and all this stuff. She walked out. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the exact reason I don't like attending WrestleMania weekend. That's the exact reason I don't like attending conventions. A lot of weird people go to this stuff. And it's unfortunate that the talent in WrestleMania, because I saw it a lot, even Thursday, where fans and people were camping outside wrestlers' hotels and all that stuff. I don't understand why fans are so invested in wrestlers' personal life. That's one. Um, Two, I think it's very, this is going to be a repeat of probably something that you've heard your whole life. Keep your hands to yourself. I mean, I understand why wrestlers don't want to meet fans. I understand why wrestlers don't want to do meet and greets or be at these conventions. They do it because they want to make money. And there are some good fans out there that aren't complete fucking creeps like the guy that did what he did this weekend. But what the fuck are we doing? Like what goes through people's mind? What goes through somebody's mind that I'm going to go to a wrestling convention and then touch a wrestler inappropriately, acting like nothing's going to happen? Now, we didn't see video of the actual incident, but you don't do that. You don't. Elena Black had every right to, expose the fucking clown on her socials. He should be banned from every single wrestling convention, every single show. You just don't do that. And I'm somebody that's very critical of Elena Black. Um, her recent actions, but that does not give anybody an excuse to put your hands on somebody, especially in an inappropriate way. You're in public in front of fucking thousands of people. Hundreds of people of them are high profile people. What the fuck was this idiot thinking? You don't do that when you go to wrestling conventions. You respect the wrestlers. If you see a wrestler open in the wild, if it looks like they're not really there, or you don't want to ask for a picture, say hey and keep it pushing. I mean, I can't tell you how many I have wrestler pictures with wrestlers just by simply, hey, how are you? They're normal fucking people. Just like me, just like you. They bleed the same, they shit the same, they piss the same, and they fucking put their pants on with the same two legs that we do. We got to be better as wrestling fans, especially when we attend those events. That is uncalled for. And I hope that guy is banned from every single fucking event in the future. Because again, Elena, all these wrestlers shouldn't have to go out there, do their profession without feeling and they're probably out there feeling unsafe. Security's probably not as tight as it should be. The wrestlers deserve to be respected, treated like humans, and we got to do better. But ladies and gentlemen, that was your Sunday Unfiltered Wrestling with PGH Chris TV. Hope you guys enjoyed. Go check out the Sports Jedi Network. Follow, subscribe. WrestleMania weekend, WrestleMania night 2, and I will see you guys next week.